About 1 million employees at the Pentagon have remote work capabilities, but the Defense Department will open up virtual options for employees working on classified projects too. Chief Information Officer Dana Deasy says the virtual remote environment should be able to host the most sensitive unclassified data by the end of the year. Larry Allen is president of Allen Federal Business Partners. Larry, welcome. It's good to see you again. What's this look like? Who's doing what to get the military up to speed?
Francis, the military has many different projects in place right now for both unclassified workers and classified workers increasingly. In your intro, you referred to plans that Dana Deasy, the CIO, has. DoD already has about 1 million non-classified telework people going and doing their job remotely, which is really amazing. And they're hoping to add significantly to the classified workforce as well, which kind of caught me as something that was interesting. Traditionally, as you may know, classified work is something that's been done in a specially created, physically separated environment. And now the Department of Defense, Air Force, and DISA in particular are looking at pilots that would allow even classified workers to work remotely, setting up those physical barriers, not virtually, but using software.
I confess when I saw this is what we were going to talk about, Larry, it struck me as interesting because I think of you. You have always been one of my go-to people on acquisition, not so much on technology. Why is this significant to you, Larry?
Francis, this is significant because it really talks about two things. One is it talks about the workforce. And anytime you're talking about the workforce, that affects how acquisition people do their position. But the most significant thing to me is this is just one more step that shows that we cannot, whether you're DoD, the commercial sector, or whatever, just put everything on hold while we're dealing with COVID-19. There's been so much of a predisposition for people to try to outlast the pandemic. And we can't outlast the pandemic. We need to find new ways to get work done. We just can't say, oh, this classified work can wait, or even we can do that classified work at 50% of what our usual capacity is. You can't do that and still maintain national security. So in this specific case, we're talking about people who have come to the realization that you can't outlast the pandemic, that you have to find new ways to address, in this case, your workflow. I think this is going to be something that we see in every segment moving forward, particularly in government. It's something that people are going to have to be creative, work around, develop new paths to get their missions accomplished.
This is going to result, isn't it, Larry, in completely different ways of doing business with the government. It's not going to ever look the same way that it looked in February again, is it?
It's not. We're going to be many months still, Francis, before we have face-to-face industry government meetings. We're just talking right now about whether we can get or need to have federal employees back in their physical locations. If so, how many? If so, how many days per week? But we aren't even talking about opening up federal facilities to having in-person meetings with industry. So this is really going to change how things get done. It's going to change how work happens, not just at the end of our current fiscal year, where a lot of things will happen because there's use it or lose it money, but it will impact the business development process for FY21 as well. People are going to have to understand what Zoom is, what are the limitations on remote access capabilities. How do you develop that personal relationship that's so important to getting business done? Whether are you going to be able to talk for 5 or 10 minutes before or after your scheduled conference call about the human connections that really are important, like how did the baseball team do, or what's going on your last vacation. These are the types of small talk that people don't realize really help make the connection, and that's something that really risks being lost unless we're careful.
It's one of the challenges that event promoters are discussing too. Is how do you can recreate the event, you can recreate the fora, you can recreate the panels. You can't recreate the hallway chatter that really greases the skids, not for deals getting done necessarily, but for building relationships, whether it's industry, government, 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 industry, industry, or whatever. Listen, pursuant to the topic that we started talking about, what's the implication for doing business with the government when right now you can't conduct those meetings on classified matters over ways like we're using right now?
Well, if you're industry, I think you and work in the intelligence field, the classified field, you want to follow these pilot programs in the Air Force and DISA very carefully. And that's one of the reasons I'm writing about them, because if the military people, the people in government, are going to be able to work in a classified manner remotely, so too may contractors. You're going to have to build in extra secure systems, so-called level 6, in terms of being the highest level of security in order to do that. But if you're a contractor, you want to know that this is something that your customer is doing. You should be able to develop some capabilities to do it too, so that you're able to deliver the mission support, whether it's in person or wherever.
Larry Allen, thanks as always. Great to see you.
Francis, thank you.